Today, we meet John and Susan. So, according to psychologists, every human being has basic needs, and these basic needs has love interfacing with all of them. What does this mean? Hello everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of The Review with me. I'm your host and your workful reading coach, Mrs. P. Samuel. I hope you've been able to catch up on all our previous episodes of the book we are reading. And yes, if you're just joining us today for the first time and you're asking what's going on here, welcome. You are reading with me and reviewing with me. And the book in question is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Anyway, today we are reviewing chapter 11. Yes, we are almost done with the book. We're reviewing chapter 11, and chapter 11 is titled Love Makes the Difference. Did you catch up on chapter 10? Love is a choice. What's your point on that? What's your take on that? Alright, so if you're ready, please hit the like button, the share, subscribe and follow button. Tag someone who you think needs this particular topic, and let's go right into it. So from my earlier quote, I said psychologists have established the fact that every human has basic needs and love interfaces with all of our needs. What does this mean? One may face uncertainties in their vocation, they may have issues with their life generally, but the knowledge of the fact that they are truly loved by their spouse, or they are truly loved probably by family, gives them the assurance that they can walk through life, or they can face anything. It gives them this confidence to keep going on. Remember, everybody needs love. Love is also a basic need. But this was not the case for John and Susan as they walked into Gary Chapman's office with Susan's face screaming for help and John feeling so adamant and looking everywhere other than Gary Chapman's face. In fact, from John's expression, you would know that he would rather be anywhere else other than in that office at that point in time, if not for the fact that he was threatened by Susan. Susan told him, if you don't follow me to see a counselor, I am leaving this marriage. And because John loved her so much, he had to go with her. Now, what happened, or what was the issue with John and Susan? As they got talking with Dr. Gary Chapman, Susan established two facts first. Dr. Chapman, let me establish this. First and foremost, we don't have money problems. We are okay. We work, both of us work, and we are comfortable at the point where we are. And number two, we don't argue. In fact, we both think arguing is pointless and baseless, so we don't argue. We have not argued before. So Dr. Chapman was still wondering what's going on based on this, but he knew since she was a direct to the point person, he would get to the bottom of everything. And then she went on to say she's not feeling the marriage anymore. She doesn't just feel loved, she feels alone. There's no love, there's no emotion, there's just deadness and emptiness everywhere. What does that tell you? Susan's emotional lockdown was running on empty. Alright, so she just felt deadness and she didn't think she could go on with that marriage if the deadness continued. Remember in the previous chapter, we stated the fact that when there is an emptiness for a long period of time, when emptiness in a love tank exists for over a long period of time, after some time, the person who has that empty tank gets fed up, because our first statement when starting this chapter, everyone desires, love is also a basic need, and everyone desires that need to be filled. So when there is an overlong emptiness of the emotion, the love tank, when the love tank is empty for over a long period of time, the person decides to leave and go find love elsewhere. But in the case of Susan, she was really interested in making her marriage work. Hence, sorry about that. Hence, her need and her desire to seek a counselor so they can know what to do about it. Now, Dr. Chapman turned to John and asked what seems to be the problem. And at that point, the only response John could give is, I don't know. I don't understand her. I get to do everything. I cook, I clean, I do the laundry, I make sure she's comfortable. But she still always complains, and I don't even understand the basis for the complaining. From this, you could get that John was an act of service person. In fact, at some point, after John listed out every chore he handled in the house, Dr. Chapman was wondering, looking at Susan, what does this woman actually do? And as he turned to her, she answered, Dr. Chapman, yes, doing all those things is fine. I don't have an issue with it. But I need him to sit with me. Have time, spend time with me, look me in the eyes, let's have a conversation together, just spend some time with me. Now, if you've been following, what do you think the love language of Susan was? Please write it in the comment section and let's see. And if you've written that and you said acts of quality time, then you are correct. We now notice that John and Susan were speaking two different love languages, and John was actually trying to love Susan in his own love language. Alright, what does this mean? Our sense of self-worth is actually fed by the fact that our spouse loves us. And how does our spouse show that they love us? By speaking our own love language. So whenever our love language is not being spoken by our spouse, at some point it feels as if we are not just okay, our sense of self-worth is not complete. And that is what happens when a child grows up in a home that lacks love. It seizes or it steals their sense of self-worth. Now, every man knows that they are significant. When I say man, I mean male and female. Everyone knows that they are significant. But as much as they know that they are significant, when they are significant in purpose, but when they begin to feel more significant is the knowledge of the fact that they are loved and that love is expressed to them. So everybody knows that they have a reason for existence. They have a significance in purpose, but that significance becomes more real to them when they feel love and that love is being expressed. Now, this love I'm talking about could also be parent-child love. A child knows, of course, he knows that he is significant in a home, but that significance speaks more or makes more meaning to them when you begin to express the love to that child in their own love language. And yes, children are also human. They have basic needs and they have their own love languages. So you have to learn the love language of your child. Don't worry, we will still read this book. Gary Chapman wrote a book and he now read down to children the 5 love languages for children. We'll get to it very soon. Alright, so let's go on. This was Susan's case. Because her husband, she was significant. Susan was a very successful woman in her place of work, and that's why she made out the point of first telling him that we don't struggle for money, we don't have money problems. But she didn't feel that significance enough. Why? She didn't feel the love coming from her spouse. She didn't feel love coming from her spouse, and that made her to feel like her sense of worth was not enough. Alright, I hope that makes more sense now. And because of that, she actually had to speak out. In fact, there are a lot of people that have not felt love. They are running on empty for over a long period of time in their marriage. My advice to you is to speak up. Please find help, seek help, have a conversation with your partner. Communication, and if your partner is one who doesn't listen, then you need professional help. In Africa, we have to lay emphasis and put importance on seeing marriage counselors because help is very important. Professional help at that. Now, also note that love is not the answer to every question. We are saying love is different, love makes the difference. It doesn't mean love is the answer to every question, but love actually creates the climate in order for you to begin to find answers to other things and other issues. Once the climate or the atmosphere is created in love, or love actually defines the climate, it makes things easier. You know that whatever the challenge is, you know whatever the issue is, you can actually face it together because you have a spouse that loves you, because you have a parent that loves you. So it helps create security in the climate, so that it creates a secure climate, so that the answer to all other challenges can be found. So back to our story. Now, if we look at the story, Gary Chapman had turned to John and tried finding out from John. Now, based on John's view and an invitation into John's world, it showed that he too did not feel love. And when Gary Chapman went ahead to ask him, okay, let's go into your world. What is your ideal partner? Remember we talked about discovering primary love language, and we said one of the ways to discover your primary love language is by finding out what your ideal partner is, your spec, an ideal spouse for you. So Gary Chapman got an invitation into John John's world to find out what his own ideal partner would be. And John, with such smile, with a loving smile on his face and a dreamy face, began to say, my ideal wife will be someone who prepares dinner, who gets the house fixed, who does the laundry. Of course, I know I will help out. She can't do all those things on her own. I didn't get married to her to be a slave, but someone who takes responsibility of the home, who becomes the homemaker, who realizes that the home is hers. She has to make the home hers and ensure that everything is put in place. That with so much joy, John himself, he himself, will also want to help out. That shows that John was actually an act of service person. And because he was an act of service person, he was speaking his own love language to Susan. That brings us to another point. Remember, before, it was love people the way you want to be loved. But now, it has gone beyond that. Because sometimes the way you want to be loved is not the way another person wants to be loved. We can see a practical example with John and Susan. And that's why I told you today we're meeting John and Susan. So John wanted to be loved via acts of service. Susan wanted to be loved via quality time. So there had to be a conversation that will bring two of them in the know, and then they will begin to work at it. Well, after each person had spoken, letting each of them into their own love language. That was what Gary Chapman did. He exposed and brought to Susan's understanding and to John's understanding as well. John, this is what Susan is crying out for. This is her love language. And Susan, this is what John is crying out for. This is his love language. In fact, John screamed and explained, why didn't somebody tell me this 30 years ago? So now take a pause. Imagine, for 30 good years, there has just been a lack of love. The emotional love tank was just going down the drain until it ran on empty. No love, no emotion. It was complete deadness. And even imagining how were they able to have sex in such a marriage? It's as if sex actually became a duty. Whereas sex can be something more once love is in place. Remember, we said love creates a secure climate. So I'm just imagining what kind of climate and atmosphere will be in the house. They were actually living like roommates, and that was Susan's word. Exactly. We are living like roommates. We are not living like lovers. So my question to you before I go on is, are you roommates or are you lovers? And if at this point in time you're listening to me and you realize, it's like we are roommates, just calm down. Come a little bit closer. There's no need for you to panic. This is self-realization. This is a point of eye-opening where you're knowing that, okay, something can be done. And what is that thing that can be done? Love can make a difference. All you need to do is sit down. Try to find out your primary love language. After finding out your primary love language, find out the primary love language of your spouse. Remember, it's love your neighbor as yourself. You have to know yourself first before you start learning how to know someone else. So that when you're finding out their own primary love language, you're also letting them know your own. And then you can work at it. Now back to my story again. After the discovery of both love languages, John told Susan, I will give you 15 minutes of my time every night before we go to bed. What does that mean? Is he saying that, excuse me, throughout the day he will not give her time? No. What he means is that he will give her 15 minutes of quality time, undivided attention, focused attention. He focuses on her alone. 15 minutes every night before we go to bed. No phones, no interruptions from children, no work brought into the room, nothing at all. Just Susan and John. And Susan also decided, I will also start working at keeping the home for you. I will take responsibility of your home, make dinner for you. But dinner may come in a little bit late because you close earlier from work than I do. So I come back later than you. And John was okay with it. It's fine. I could snack on something and wait on you. And when you come, I could also join you in preparing the dinner. Imagine, now Susan will be in the kitchen cooking. John is sitting with her, helping her cut the vegetables, peel an onion, dice carrots, and all those kind of, oh my God. I'm just having a visual or a mental picture of what their home will be like. And they both left Gary Chapman's office with a new dream, with a new insight, with fresh insight, with decisions, most importantly with intentional decisions, and decisions to actually the decision to actually make sure that they make their marriage work. They left Gary Chapman's office with a choice to work at it. They left Gary Chapman's office with the intention to make their marriage intentionally work. 2 months down the line, John and Susan were on their second honeymoon. Why? They chose to make love and give love a chance. They chose to be intentional and work at their marriage. If you are listening to this and you feel like there's no hope for you, well, I'm here to tell you that there is hope. The Bible says there is the hope of a tree, even if it is cut off at the scent of water. This is the scent of water to you. This is the scent of God's word to you. There is always hope. You can make your marriage work. Love makes the difference. It's high time we stand up. It's high time we sit up. Be intentional about working on our marriage. It doesn't matter how long, how many years you've been in that marriage. It doesn't matter if it's a short time or a long time. Love makes the difference. And based on that, I will be drawing a close to our topic for today. I want you to choose love. Choose to intentionally speak your spouse's love language. Choose to accept love and make your marriage and your relationship work. So what does your spouse do that actually makes you feel significant? What is one thing your spouse does for you that makes you feel loved and makes you feel seen and significant? Please put it in the comment section. Thank you very much everyone for staying with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, today was basically a story, more of a story than a review, but that's what the chapter was all about. We use the story to learn. We use other people's examples and experiences to learn. Don't let your marriage get to the point of John and Susan. For 30 years, thank God Susan decided to make a decision. You could be the one to make that decision today. Don't wait for your spouse. You that is listening to this, start with yourself. Change begins with you. Start with yourself. Leave your spouse. Reset begins with you. You can reset your marriage. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and follow. Invite others and let's recultivate once again the reading culture in our society. Thank you for staying with me and see you in the next episode. God bless you.